What's up? This is MattstaGraham, and you are listening to As the Story Grows.
Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. This week, MattstaGraham joins the podcast. MattstaGraham is the solo project of sundress guitarist Matt Graham. Matt talks about how his parents and cousins influenced his interest in music, using social media to build MattstaGraham, and his new album, Prescribe Whatever, which is out April 29th on I Surrender Records. This chat was a lot of fun, and I'm a big fan of Matt's new solo record. So I hope everyone enjoys the clips they hear in this episode and that you enjoy getting to hang out with MattstaGraham.
I like that microphone.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It's very old now, but it's still great.
I'm sure it still holds up. Been wanting to get one for a kick mic just to test it out. I've seen some people get some cool results with them.
Yeah, I've used it as a kick mic before and it sounds pretty awesome. So I recommend it. I got this one for free. I used to work at an audiobook studio and this was like found in like a box and they were just going to get rid of it. And I was like, I will take that home. They were like, okay.
Nice.
Thanks for hanging out this morning.
Nice. Dude, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I assume you're a fellow East Coaster.
No, I'm not.
Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah. So I woke up at 6. Because they told me that your time frame was like 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I was like, oh, like, shoot, that's like my work hours usually. And I was like, oh, wait, East Coast time. So I can probably nail this in the morning.
Oh, man.
And then go to work.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out super early.
No, dude, pleasure's mine.
This is always... So where are you located? You're out West Coast? Or?
Arizona.
Arizona. Nice.
Yeah.
How's Arizona?
It's about what you'd expect. You know, a lot of desert, gets real hot. It's been all right. It's been like around the 70s lately. So nice. I'm soaking it up.
That's cool. It was 70 degrees here on Friday. And then on Saturday it snowed.
Oh boy. I cannot imagine snow, dude. I've never had to live in it. I've never had to drive in it. Like I don't know how you guys deal.
It's you get used to it, you know. So did you grow up in Arizona?
I moved here from San Diego when I was like 14. So, I mean, I've been kind of a West Coast all my life, but I've lived in Arizona for now the better part of half my life. So.
Rad. Awesome. What was growing up like for you?
I don't know how to explain. Like, I mean, I don't think it was like different than like the normal growing up in the early 2000s, you know, like we... I don't know. I never know how to explain that because it's like, what's the normal experience? Mm-hmm. I guess maybe a little different for me because like when I was like kind of younger, you know, where I grew up, there wasn't a whole lot to do. So like I sort of ended up finding drugs a little earlier. So Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like, for me personally, like, my experience was that. And also, like, from a young age, I always knew that I, like, really wanted to be in music. So, like, I was playing music at a younger age. And I was, like, kind of hyper focused on that. Like, I feel like I missed out on some things because I was, like, so focused on, like, we got to do this with the band. We got to do that with the band, Yeah, sorry. This is my first cup of coffee. So you're gonna have to pull some straight answers from me.
Oh, no, it's all good. So what got you into music so early?
So both my parents actually met in an 80s cover band.
Nice.
I kid you not. My dad was the guitar player. My mom was the singer. So, like, just growing up early, like, I had music everywhere, like all my dad's, like, influences, like, he was a big, like, 80s hair metal guy. So it was like Ozzy Osbourne, Rush, a lot of, like, the kind of solo guitar players. Like, he really liked Vito Bratta. And then my mom, she had, like, more of a varied, music taste, like I got the Indigo Girls from her, and she was into, like, just, like, everything. She still is very open to music, which is really cool for her age. But I didn't start playing guitar until my cousins started getting into it, because like they were kind of like my role models growing up, like, oh, I want to be like them. And I remember my cousin Corey and my cousin Dylan, they both ended up getting guitars, and I was like, oh, I want to jam with them, and I told my dad, and I got a guitar that Christmas. And then I was like, Dad, I want to, like, learn how to, like, play like you. Cause that he was all over the fretboard. Like, he learned his, like, 80s shredding stuff, and he kind of brushed it off. He was like, I'll tell you what, like, I've got a business trip going on right now. Like, if you learn this Van Halen song, when I come back, I'll teach you your scales. And like, he left, came back, and I was like, Dad, like, I learned Ain't Talking About Love. And he's just like, oh, I guess I have to teach you this now. A promise is a promise.
Yeah. Were your cousins the one who kind of directed you into, like, I hate to say modern music, but into, like, punk or emo or that sort of scene?
Primarily my cousin Dylan.
Okay.
So he always, like, I mean, they both were, like, really cool about exposing me to new music and stuff. And, like, I'm really grateful to, like, have so many different people in my life with so many different influences, because, like, I feel like I get to have that experience, that's not so, like streamlined, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly, like, when my cousin Dylan made a mix, I was like, okay, I like that one more, and that was, like, all of, like, one of the first CDs he ever gave me. And yes, I'm dating myself here to CDs. He burned 2 of Rufio's albums for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Perhaps, I Suppose, and the one with, like, the really long title. But then he'd, like, make me, like, mix CDs of, like, stuff that I don't even remember what was on it. But I remember, like, one of the first ones on there was, and forgive me for mentioning them, Brand New. And I think, like, that kind of put me down that rabbit hole of, like, Warped Tour and, the emo pop punk scene, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you decide you were going to form a band?
When I first picked up a guitar, like, I was like 12, and I was, like, I was avidly looking for people in my school. Yeah. Like, I was like, nice. Like, do you play something? Do you play something? And, like, I remember, like, like, ever since I was, like, 12, I was like, I want to be in a band, I remember there was, like, this one kid who lived, like, I couldn't tell you the exact distance, but it was actually, like, an hour away walking from me.
All right.
And there was one summer where, like, almost every single day I grabbed, like, my guitar, I put it on my back, and, like, my little, like, Line 6 combo amp, and I walked all the way to his house
Oh,
Like,
geez.
yeah, because like no one was going to take me.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, this is all I want to do. I want to play music and video games with my buddies, and like, I walked to his house every day and played. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm like just now remembering that.
That's awesome. What was the scene like there where you grew up? Like, was there a local scene? Was there like bands coming through consistently for you to like engage in and like be involved as a part of?
Well, as for San Diego, I mean, I'm sure that's like that's like a legendary place.
Yeah.
Moving to Tucson now. So I mean, it's funny, you chuckle because it's like, whenever you think of like an Arizona band, you think of Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always kind of like how do I say this? Sorry, again, first cup of coffee. So like Tucson has like this very kind of like kind of up and down scene, where like at points it's very strong and like at points it kind of dies out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that was like such a bummer, because like I feel like there's such a strong scene here and there's such a potential for talent to like get out there, but like Tucson isn't really thought of as a big music city.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually kind of one of the things that I'm hoping that that my signing and like all in this record
Mm-hmm.
can do is like maybe shine a bit, like a bit more of a light on Tucson.
Yeah.
In that regard, because like we have a really awesome scene, and
Mm-hmm.
we have really awesome people in it. It's just like, just like name a band you like from Tucson,
Right.
The first one that I can think of that most people know of is The Bled.
Yep.
And yeah,
I'm sure there's one in my arsenal, but I have no like recollection of what might be from there. I'm just like Arizona, Jimmy Eat World, and that's
right,
Phoenix,
yeah.
That's cool. What was the progression to lead to MattstaGraham? Before I get into this, one of my favorite quotes in the world is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just been such a thing in my life. But like basically like I've been in so many bands, some that have done some touring and some that have just been like projects that have kind of stayed local. And like the thing that I've noticed about a lot of like groups is that like it could totally be a me thing, but there comes a point in time where like if you have not like designated like one person to like kind of front this effort, and then everybody to maybe have creative input here and there, or like to maybe have like things sort of just kind of like get bottlenecked really easily.
Yeah.
And the band I was in right before I started doing MattstaGraham, I ran into this problem quite often where the name of the game would just be like, we have to put something out. And then all of a sudden it turned into like a race of perfection of like, no, what if we did this? What if we did that? And then all of a sudden we have this huge, big plan of a thing that like, that's just not going to happen. Like that was supposed to be as easy as a music video.
Yeah.
And not saying that music videos are easy. I'm just saying that, it shouldn't be the biggest thing on your plate, I guess, as a musician. And I just kept running into that. And then like when that band decided to end, I actually didn't think that I was going to continue pursuing music as like a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
So I ended up joining another band. Maybe you've heard of Sundressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I play guitar in that band.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, they're an awesome group of guys. But I just kind of like put a record up just because I could, of ideas that I had. And then when the pandemic hit, like everybody's first thought was probably, I mean, I have no idea what everyone else's first thought was, but mine was like, I cannot let this stop me dead in my tracks. Like I just got something good going with Sundress, like I'm feeling good about this again. Like I can't let this stop me.
Yeah.
So I hopped on the internet, made tons of content, put all of my stupidest ideas out there. I was like, whatever, like I'm doing something. And then, I did a song called Gotta Be Productive that ended up going wild for me, at least in my sense of the scope. And then Rob and Gabby found me for My Surrender and we're like, hey, this is really cool. Like, can we help you in your career at all? And it had not, like, honestly, at this point, it didn't occur to me like, oh, I could just do this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just figured may as well try it out, see how it goes.
That's awesome. So did you release I Get It before the pandemic hit or before lockdown, or was that right?
I had it recorded before lockdown hit.
Okay.
And then I think I put it on like Bandcamp before lockdown. And then lockdown happened and I was like thinking like, you know what, like I'm never going to do an official release for this. Obviously there's not going to be a good time for it.
Yeah.
Like, I may as well just like put it out.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of where the MattstaGraham name comes from is, literally, I just didn't want to think of a band name.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is my internet name. Like, it's like a fun play on this other social media. And I'm lazy. So there you go. There's the story of the name MattstaGraham for you.
Nice. Yeah. It works. Coming up with band names is the worst.
It's the worst. I hate it.
Yeah, I have like a note on my phone and I'm just like a list that I keep anytime I hear something. I'm like, that's a good band name. It's on the list.
That's smart, honestly. Yeah. Have you ever been in like one of those like where it's like you and your bandmates in a room and you're just like, we have to think of a band name and like all of you are saying things and like none of them are good.
Yeah.
And like, it's just one of those like, all right, like we've wasted an hour.
Yeah. I was in a band once and two of the guys were really big into Never Ending Story. They were like, we should call the band Kill the Nothing. And I was like, that name fucking sucks. We're not calling the band Kill the Nothing. And we didn't. We were Life Interrupted, which was equally horrible, but
it's not bad.
It's all right.
That's what sucks is as a fan of that movie, like the best band name that could be from that movie is already taken.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing else.
Want to watch TV, but it's not productive. Video games are not productive. I want to get sleep, but it's not productive. I still haven't ain't gonna be productive. Can't have fun, gotta be productive. Crushing reality is not productive. Weight of all mistakes, gotta be productive.
So, like, what type of content were you doing through the pandemic? Were you just like music videos, Twitch streams, Facebook streams, like?
So like, I first started on like Instagram because so when I first started playing in Sundressed, I was kind of thinking like I should probably get better at the social media thing because like the world runs on it, you know, and like in a certain sense as a musician, like you're kind of like representing yourself as a brand.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sure, you know, all about that, especially with the interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
But I started there, and then like once the pandemic hit, I was like part of my thinking was like the world could probably use a couple more smiles right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to give it to them. Maybe I make someone's day better. So like one day I just sat down, I posted an Instagram story saying like, give me a topic to write a song about like right now. Like a 13-second thing or whatever. And a bunch of people commented on it. And like, I did a bunch of those and people liked that. So from there I was like, oh, cool. Like I can kind of like do stuff like this. So it kind of started with like these like parody songs. And then I downloaded TikTok and then my life spiraled further. But like I kind of started trying like the skit thing because I saw other people were doing the skits on TikTok. And I think my first one that like really got legs was I did this like punk rock committee.
Yeah.
That was like all of the different forms of like punk rock getting into a meeting, which at this point sounds ridiculous to me because like there's no way you're going to get any of those guys in the same room all at once. You know? Like they're going to like half of them are going to cancel for something and the other half are going to show up late, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like once that like took off, I was like, oh, I should probably like somehow fit music into this because like, I'm not trying to be like the skit guy on social media. I'm trying to be like a music guy. So from there I started kind of like doing like little kind of joke songs and I started parodying, if that's a word, bands that I enjoy and, you know, hopped on that emo's not dead wave a little bit.
Yeah. 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 Is it tough to like, you know, when I was in bands, it was just like, back in my day, you would just like local bands could get on like almost any tour, right? Because it was at a church basement or VFW hall. And it's just like to hustle. It was just like, you just got to show up and play with like whatever Shy Halud's coming through town. So we just got to be on their bill and open up and just kick ass. And that's all you can do because there's no social media. Do you find it's easier to get attention and gain and be like, hey, I got this thing? Or is it just like, there's a sea of content that you're drowning in that it's just like, hey, I have this new record, but like 18 other people are also releasing records this day and like bands you actually know and love and please listen to my shit. Like
it's definitely the latter, you know? And it's because, I mean, like there's definitely like a sense of like both of that, you know, like of like showing up to the show and like kicking ass. Like obviously like that's the way that you make fans, you know, is people have to know that you are worth it live still.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, when it comes to like social media, I like to think of like social media is a place where like you can kind of like reach new audiences and also like maintain audiences.
Yeah.
But shows are where you really hone in on who your audience is. Yeah. You know? But aside from that, like I feel like, yeah, like you're saying, like it really is a sea of content, you know? And I think like with like the format is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter.
Right. Yeah.
You know? And every day you're fighting, you know, what, like a billion other people for the attention of the internet.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of hoping that like that's not how it always stays, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you can really make a good career off of that, you know? And it just depends on like how people feel. Like you kind of have to win the mental real estate of people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and please stop me if I get too rambly. But it's like, it's hard to get a video to get, it's hard to get like hundreds of thousands of views on a video, right? Like it is hard to do that. And it's unpredictable. It is even harder to get people to resonate with you after said video. So yeah, I mean, like the name of the game is just staying in front of people's face. Like it's kind of like, it sucks because like I kind of feel annoying after a point. Like it's like, all right, we get it, we've seen MattstaGraham, but I feel like I constantly have to be in front of people in order for them to like remember that I'm there. In order for me to like promote this album. So like if you go to my TikTok right now, like this second, there are like 8 videos of me promoting my new single. And they're all doing terribly. Like, yeah. But like the point is like maybe the same 300 people that saw this video aren't seeing this next video. Maybe that's a different 300 people, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, the too long didn't read version of that is, yes, it is absolutely harder to maintain an audience, but on the plus side, it's a lot easier to earn one.
Yeah. Yeah. You have social media, you have Bandcamp, you have Spotify, like it's always available. Even if you stay in a local scene, somebody who just like, hey, if you like this, you might like this, and discover you and become a fan who will never see you live, where it's like, you know, if I didn't see a local band in my hometown who had a demo cassette, like I wasn't going to discover a band from Tucson unless they came to my town back when I was in high school or after high school. I just know like trying to do social media for the podcast, it's like, hey, this reel, like 1,000 people saw this reel, but like doesn't translate to people actually clicking on the link and listening to the podcast. And you're just like,
right. It's always every kind of like every time that you put out content, it's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a bid for attention.
Yeah.
You know, I totally get that.
Yeah. But as content gets shorter, I mean, like the genres of like punk and emo and post-hardcore, like the album is still the draw there. Like why in an age of TikTok are you just not like put out 12 singles every month and just like constantly have music instead of being like, we're going to put an album out?
I think it's because like people still want like a product, you know? And I hate to like make it seem like such a monopolized thing, if that's even the word to use. But like, you know, I mean, like the thing about singles is like they, you know, like they are really cool to like put out. It's really cool to put out singles and like grab people's attention and like be like, I have a new thing out right now, you know? And I think that's kind of why like the process of like dropping singles and stuff is still really valuable for, you know, for albums. I mean, it's what we're doing. Like, I don't know when this goes up, but a week from, or like 5 days from today, I have a new song coming out from the record. And then 2 weeks from there, I have another new song. 2 weeks from there, I have another new song. And then 2 weeks after that, the record comes out, you know?
Yeah.
And it just comes back to like staying on people's radar.
Yeah.
But there's just, I mean, like maybe I'm speaking from a place of pure nostalgia, or maybe this is the general consensus. I have no idea. But there is something about like having like a full release, you know, that's like exciting. You know, it's like, oh, like this is the thing that like, like artists still work around like album cycles, you know, like in everything in the industry is still around album cycles. It's like, oh, like how is this band doing on this album cycle? Can we put them in front of this much people or this audience, or do you think that they'll do well on like this tour with this album cycle, or like, what kind of like, I don't know if I'm stretching the imagination, like what kind of features can they do on this album cycle? Like, things like that. It's still all revolves around that. And I think it really does come from the place that like people do want that complete thing. And albums still do it for me, you know?
So April 29th, Prescribe, whatever, where'd the album title come from?
The album title came from me not having an album title and the label going, we need an album title. And so I just, so like my thing is like, I love doing the most ridiculous thing that I possibly can. Like I'm telling you right now, like once the budget goes up on the music video, it's going to be ridiculous from here on out. I love doing the silliest thing. So like I had like the weirdest album titles. Like I can't remember any of them off the top of my head. Like one of them was like God is canceled. Like, I really wanted to name it I Prefer the First One.
Nice.
You know, just stupid things like that. And they were like, all right, like get serious about this. Come on. And then I can't remember if it was Robert Gabby from the label who was like, hey, how about Prescribe Whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure. You know, that's
funny.
Yeah, it was just one of the song titles.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's cool. Was there any like lyrical themes you were hoping to hit on this record, or is it just kind of like each song is its own encapsulated thing?
So, actually, I really like this question because like I tend to just free write, you know, like when it comes to like album cycles, like when it comes to like, you know, pre-pro and like finalizing lyrics and stuff, like I'm honestly just free writing about whatever's on my mind at the time. But like, at the same time, you can I kind of say it's like premeditated because, you know, like you're in a certain place in life at a certain time, you know? So like thematically, if you're writing lyrics that are like true and honest to yourself, there might end up being a theme, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the theme for Prescribe Whatever, if I had to like name one off the top of my head right now, is kind of like breaking free of like toxic cycles, you know? You know, Still Hearing About It is like this song about like breaking away from like a toxic friendship, you know, people who will always want you to be like on their level of like, you know, like people who are like negative and like always want you down on their level.
Yeah.
The next song coming out is like, it's called I'm So Dope.
Yeah.
And it's about lying to yourself about self-confidence until one day you actually might think that. And it's like breaking the cycle of like negative self attitude. Song after that's going to be called Not Everyone's Gonna Love You. And it's basically saying like people are going to think what they think of you anyway. Do what makes you happy. Yeah, I can go on about it all day, but like, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Like now that my gears are turning, I'm like, oh shoot, I think I actually might have made a theme.
That's awesome. Unintentioned. So
Yeah.
What's the rest of 2022 look like for you? Are you going to try to tour this album? Is Sundress hit the road? I know Sundress put out a record in 2020 as well.
Yeah. It was a great time to put out records. So for MattstaGraham, I'm kind of playing it a little bit by ear. I am going to try to book some West Coast dates in summer. And then like I'd like to actually see what the validity of like, or not validity, what the what's the word? I'd like to try to see how possible it could be to like do some like East Coast fly dates.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like I really want to kind of like work geographically before I take on any more big DIY tours that make that, you know, because I'm 30 now. Like I've done the hop in a van and pray to God thing so many times.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to really focus on like dominating the Southwest a little bit. And then like the East Coast, like New England area. And then just kind of see how it works out for me.
Okay.
You know, a lot of this MattstaGraham thing for me is really just like a plug and play. You know, it's just like, we'll see how it works out. You know, it either will or it won't.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song. One good word and I'm gone. Oh, as the story grows, the more I want to know, the more I want to show you. As the story grows, as the story grows. You can create something lasting and great, something passionate and real. And I'll bring in my own good feelings, I'll sing it with meaning. Let's just attack it and never look back. It's wild and fantastic. All together at full power, we're so much better. What's that word?